wants the American people to believe that Democrats caused the chaos that we are seeing at airports across the country. Well, it appears that narrative is crumbling. And don't just take it from me. This is coming from members in his own Republican Party.
Senator Cruz and I came up with a plan. We said, look, it's a two-step process. The Democrats have offered to open up everything but ICE. Ted and I said, okay, let's accept their offer. And then at the same time, we would offer a bill for reconciliation where we don't need any Democratic votes to do whatever we wanted to do with ICE. And that way we're out of the shutdown and DHS is back open. We submitted that. Senator Thune submitted that to President Trump.
Did you just hear that? A Republican senator said Trump killed the deal himself, not Democrats, not some rumor. Trump, and that changes everything. Because when airport lines explode, facts matter. Reuters reported the Senate failed to break the funding standoff. NPR reported the fight over DHS funding was still snarling airports. PBS explained Trump then pushed ICE into airports instead. So ask yourself one simple question. If there was an off-ramp, why reject it? Why leave TSA workers unpaid? Why turn airport chaos into political theater? Here is why this matters. When leaders create a crisis, they can weaponize the blame. That is what this looks like. And by the end of this video, you will see it clearly. The chaos was real. The staffing pain was real. The choice was political. And now even people inside Trump's own party are saying so.
Senate Democrats have put forward 7 standalone bills to fund TSA, and there have been 10 bills that would have funded TSA, CISA, Coast Guard, and FEMA. There was a discharge petition in the House the Democrats brought forward last week that the Republicans refused to sign on to. And saying that Donald Trump is the one who gave an off-ramp, John Thune went to him this weekend and said, we have a deal on this. I want this. I saw Ted Cruz is enthusiastic about it. And I know Ted Cruz loves to get an airport open in case he has somewhere to go. But they were offering him, saying, we can get ICE funding done through reconciliation. We just need 51 votes for that. We have the numbers. We can reopen the airports the way that you need them to be. We can fund FEMA, CISA.
Here is what they are not telling you. This fight was never just about airports. It was about leverage. It was about forcing one political demand into another crisis. Reuters reported that senators failed to move competing TSA and DHS funding plans on March 12th. That means the pain at airports did not happen by accident. It happened. While Washington kept refusing a narrower fix. Now look at the structure of the fight. Congress.gov shows a House bill, H.R. 7481. That bill would fund TSA, FEMA, CISA, the Coast Guard, and more. It does not fund ICE or CBP. So the idea of funding airport security separately was real. It was written down. It was public. And Senate Democrats also pushed separate bills. The Senate Appropriations Committee said Republicans blocked multiple efforts to fund TSA and other DHS functions while talks continued on ICE. This is important because Trump kept telling the public Democrats caused the mess. But the public record shows another story. PBS reported Trump said Republicans should not make a deal until Democrats passed the Save America Act. So what this actually means for you is simple. Airport workers became bargaining chips. Travelers became props, and a basic public service became hostage to a larger political demand. I believe older Americans see this faster than anyone, because you have lived through enough Washington spin to know the difference between a real impasse and a manufactured one. A real impasse has no path out. This one had several, a TSA-only bill, a broader non-ICE DHS bill, a split funding idea backed by Republicans themselves, and yet the chaos continued. That is not strength. That is reckless politics with ordinary people stuck in the security line. Look at the document itself. This is not internet gossip. It is on Congress.gov. H.R. 7481 would fund TSA and other DHS agencies. It leaves out ICE and CBP. That matters, because it proves there was a public path forward. Then the Senate Appropriations Committee said Republicans blocked 5 separate bills in 24 hours. So when viewers are told there was no option, that is false. There were options. The White House simply wanted a different fight.
Send ICE agents into the airports because ICE, well, they always solve problems. Am I right?
Whose idea was that to put ICE in the airport?
We're dealing really...
Whose idea was it?
Mine. That was mine.
Can I ask you?
That was like the paperclip. You know the story of the paperclip? 182 years ago, a man discovered the paperclip. It was so simple. And everybody that looked at it say, why didn't I think of that? ICE was my idea.
Regardless of the fact that they are not trained as TSA screeners, and as we've seen in the past, are known to take high-stress situations and, well, catapult them into full-fledged chaos.
It's definitely the Republicans' fault.
Now we get to the part that should alarm every traveler. Instead of solving the pay problem, the administration reached for a stunt. Reuters reported ICE agents were sent to 14 airports as TSA absences climbed. Reuters also reported those ICE personnel were not going behind checkpoints at first because they lacked the needed clearance. Tom Homan told CNN he did not see ICE agents running X-ray machines because they were not trained for that. That alone should stop people cold, because this was sold as a solution. But even the administration gave mixed messages about what ICE could actually do. PBS explained the deeper issue in plain English. ICE kept getting paid through separate funding. TSA workers did not, so the government was willing to fund immigration enforcement, but not airport screening. Think about that priority. I believe this is outrageous because public safety is not supposed to be a branding exercise. TSA officers train for explosives, weapons, and passenger screening. They are not interchangeable with immigration agents. Reuters said more than 9% of TSA employees were absent. Over 7 days, AP reported more than 366 TSA agents had already left the force as the lapse dragged on. That is a staffing wound. You do not fix a staffing wound with a television-ready photo op. You fix it by funding the people doing the job. Every American should know that this is what cynical politics looks like. First, refuse the narrower deal. Second, blame the other side. Third, roll out a dramatic workaround. And fourth, hope the cameras never ask the obvious question. Why not just pay TSA? Put this Reuters headline on screen, then let the numbers sink in. Absences soared. ICE was deployed, and the pay issue still remained. Now add the PBS explainer beside it. That piece makes the funding split easy to understand. ICE had separate money. TSA did not. Then add the NPR report. NPR said Congress came back still struggling to fund DHS while airport chaos grew. That is the full picture, not one clip, not one spin line, a full pattern. The administration had energy for a dramatic airport move. It did not have urgency for the cleaner funding fix that tells viewers everything. This was not only a staffing crisis, it was a messaging strategy. And once you see that, the blame game falls apart. So what did
the administration tried to blame Democrats for this shutdown, right? But that narrative, it's clearly getting harder to sustain when you now have Republican senators admitting that a deal existed before Trump killed it. It's confirmation that Trump doesn't care about the American worker, and clear evidence of the consequences is on show. And at that point, it's no longer a partisan argument, right? It's a documented decision that whatever transpires at these airports is Trump's doing.
And so what's happening today in America that should outrage everybody?
We learned that airport chaos did not exist in a vacuum. We learned that separate funding options were on the table. We learned that Republican senators themselves floated an off-ramp. And we learned that Trump refused a deal while blaming Democrats in public. That is the core truth here. And once you accept that truth, the rest becomes clear. This is not leadership. Leadership lowers the temperature. Leadership pays essential workers. Leadership protects travelers without turning airports into political stages. I believe this story hits deeper than one bad week of travel. It shows how public frustration can be manipulated. A crisis gets created, a scapegoat gets chosen, then a more aggressive response gets sold as strength. That should worry every person who cares about democratic accountability. Because when facts stop mattering, power grows in the dark. Older Americans especially understand this danger. You know what responsible government looks like. You know what plain dealing sounds like. And you know when someone is trying to sell you chaos as competence. The answer is not more spin. The answer is documentation. The answer is public pressure. The answer is refusing to let working people become pawns. TSA officers deserve pay. Travelers deserve honesty. And the country deserves leaders who solve problems before cameras arrive. This is not just about Trump. It is about whether government serves the public or manipulates it. And right now, your voice still matters.